Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. You know, it's amazing what we find sometimes in the most unexpected places.
Really is.
Like little golden nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah.
And today's episode is no exception. We're going to be taking a look at a story that a father shared about his daughter.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and it's all about how she approached a conflict with her brother. And I'm telling you, this little girl's got some serious wisdom.
I love it. I love it when we can learn from those unexpected sources.
Yeah.
Like kids.
Exactly. And especially in today's world.
Yeah.
Where, conflict is everywhere.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, look around. It's all over the place.
It is.
So having, kind of a new perspective on how to deal with these situations is really valuable.
Absolutely. So what happened with this brother and sister?
Well, the dad asked his daughter to tell her brother to do his chores.
Okay. Pretty standard stuff.
Right. Hey, how many times did we hear that growing up?
Oh, yeah.
But what's fascinating is how she responded.
Yeah.
Instead of like running straight to mom,
Uh-huh.
and tattling.
Yeah.
She actually decided to go talk to her brother first.
Interesting. So she kind of took it upon herself to try to resolve this conflict.
Yeah. And that's what struck me is like she deliberately chose to speak to him first.
That's really insightful for a child to recognize that bringing in an authority figure could actually escalate the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Like she really seemed to get
Yeah.
that it's not always the best way to solve things.
Right. Because then it becomes less about the actual issue at hand.
Right.
And more about the power dynamic.
Exactly. It's like she understood that, bringing mom into it could create resentment, hurt feelings, and just make the whole thing worse.
Yeah, like a power struggle.
Exactly.
Instead of just like, hey, can you please do the dishes?
Right. And it's not just about, like getting him to do the chores.
Right.
It's about preserving their relationship as brother and sister.
Absolutely. And teaching him, responsibility and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Like she's thinking long term.
Right.
Not just about the immediate,
Yeah.
outcome.
It sounds like she's pretty wise beyond her years.
Oh, she is. But here's the thing.
Okay.
She doesn't just stop at that.
Oh.
Okay? She goes on to explain her reasoning to her dad.
Interesting.
And the way she does it is just brilliant.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Okay, so picture this.
Yeah.
She uses these incredible analogies to get her point across.
Wow, using analogies at such a young age.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It's really something else. I mean...
So what kind of analogies did she use?
Well, one of them was this scale analogy.
Okay, a scale.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So she describes herself and her dad as being on one side of the scale.
Okay.
And her brother on the other.
Right.
But she points out that her and her dad are like heavier on their side.
Okay, I'm starting to see where this is going.
Right. And she says that if they go straight to mom, it's like they're adding this huge weight to their side.
Ah.
And it unbalances the whole thing.
I see.
It's like she's talking about power dynamics.
That's a pretty sophisticated concept for a young child to grasp.
Right. But it's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it. Like using your authority without even considering the other person's perspective can just lead to problems.
Absolutely. It can create resentment, damage relationships,
right,
and just a general sense of unfairness.
Exactly. And this is something that we see not just in families, but in all sorts of situations.
Absolutely. Think about workplaces, friendships, even international relations.
Right.
This idea that wielding power without considering the other person's perspective can have really negative consequences.
It's like she's reminding us that true strength comes from finding balance and understanding.
I love that.
Yeah. Not from just forcing our will on others.
Really powerful.
But
oh, there's more.
There's more. She has another analogy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this one is even better.
All right. I'm ready.
Okay. Are you familiar with the story of the tortoise and the hare?
Of course. The classic tale of slow and steady wins the race.
Right. Well, she takes that story.
Okay.
And she gives it a twist.
Oh, I love it. I love how creative kids can be.
Yeah. So in her version, the rabbit, which is her and her dad, they're initially ahead.
All right.
Right. But then they stop to rest.
To
tell mom.
Ah, I see where she's going with this.
Right. And that's when the tortoise...
Which is the brother in this case.
Exactly.
Okay.
He catches up.
Got it.
And she even incorporates her brother's interest in video games.
Oh, how cute.
By saying that the tortoise gets heavier. Because blocks fall from the sky.
That's clever.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like she's speaking his language
Right.
to get her point across.
That's a really smart strategy.
Yeah, but what's really amazing to me is that she's redefining what it means to win.
Interesting. How so?
In her version, it's not about one person being ahead.
Right.
It's about everyone reaching the finish line together.
That's beautiful.
You know,
Oh, okay.
and that's such an important message,
It is.
especially in today's competitive world.
Absolutely. It's so easy to get caught up in that mindset of,
Right.
I have to win, you have to lose.
Yeah.
But this little girl is showing us that there's another way.
Exactly.
A way where collaboration and understanding
Yeah.
can lead to outcomes that benefit everyone involved.
And it makes you wonder, you know, how much better could our world be
Right.
if we approached conflicts with that mindset?
That's a really thought-provoking question.
It is. But, you know, even with these brilliant analogies,
Yeah.
her dad was still struggling to fully grasp her point.
Really?
Right.
Even after the scale and the tortoise and the hare.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he was just tired that day. I don't know.
Well, it happens to the best of us sometimes.
Right. So what does she do?
What does she do?
She puts him to the test
Okay.
with a quiz.
A quiz. That's adorable.
I know, right?
So what was on this quiz?
Well, she presents him with 3 different ways to handle the chore situation.
Okay.
And she asks him to choose the option that would lead to the most peaceful outcome.
So she's really challenging him to put her theory into practice.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. I'm curious, what were the options?
Okay, so option 1 involved a little bit of manipulation.
Manipulation.
Yeah, you know, like telling mom that the brother was about to do the chores, and then telling the brother that mom knew he was going to do them.
Oh, sneaky.
I know, right?
Okay, what was option 2?
Option 2 was just like reporting to mom that the chores hadn't been done
Okay.
and leaving it at that.
Straight to the point.
Yeah.
All right, and option 3?
Okay, option 3 was a more direct approach.
Right.
Tell the brother to do the chores,
Okay.
then tell mom if he hasn't done them.
So like a 2-pronged approach?
Right. So 3 very different approaches
Yeah.
with varying levels of directness and honesty.
Right. It's like she's really making him think about
Yeah,
the different ways to approach this conflict.
exactly. And framing it as a choice between peace and conflict.
Yeah.
You know, forcing her dad to really consider the consequences of each action.
It's amazing how intentional she is being with this whole process.
Right. But what's even more interesting
Okay.
is that her dad, being a typical adult,
Uh-huh.
immediately gravitates towards option 3.
Oh, the most direct one.
Yeah, the one that seems the most efficient.
Right, just get it done.
Right.
I have a feeling there's a twist coming.
You know me too well.
All right, I can't wait to hear what happens next.
We'll dive into that right after the break.
Sounds good.
Stay with us.
You know what's really fascinating about this story?
What's that?
Is how much this little girl's approach to conflict aligns with Christian principles.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Her focus on understanding forgiveness, peace. I mean, those are like core values
Right.
that Jesus taught and embodied.
Exactly. And it's not just a coincidence.
Right.
It's woven into the very fabric of the faith.
So how do you see that playing out in this specific story?
Well, think about her decision to speak to her brother first.
Okay.
It's like she's giving him a chance to make things right before involving any higher authority.
It's like that concept of grace.
Exactly. Giving someone the opportunity to make amends
Right.
without immediately resorting to punishment or judgment.
And that's huge, right? I mean, that's a core
It is.
principle of Christianity.
It is.
And she's demonstrating it without even realizing it.
It's like she intuitively understands these deep theological concepts.
It's amazing. And what about the analogies she uses?
Oh, those are brilliant.
They're so insightful.
They are.
It's like she's grasping these really complex ideas and conveying them in a way that even her dad can understand.
Exactly. And her analogy of the scale, that's a great example.
How so?
Well, it can be seen as representing the balance of justice and mercy.
Oh, interesting.
Which is a concept that's central to Christian theology.
Okay, I can see that.
Right. Justice demands accountability, but mercy offers compassion and a chance for restoration.
And it's about finding that balance.
Exactly.
Right? Not just blindly enforcing rules.
It's not about punishment for punishment's sake.
Yeah, it's about creating a space for reconciliation and growth.
And that idea of recognizing the inherent dignity and worth of each individual, even when they've made mistakes.
Right.
That's woven throughout the Bible.
Absolutely. From the Old Testament all the way to Jesus' teachings.
Exactly. It's about understanding that we're all flawed.
Right.
We all make mistakes.
And we all need forgiveness.
And that's where grace comes in.
It's so powerful. And speaking of powerful,
Yeah.
what about her reimagined tortoise and the hare story?
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
It's brilliant, Rita.
It is.
And it's not just clever.
No.
It actually reflects
Uh-huh.
this deep Christian belief in redemption and transformation.
I see that too. It's like she's saying that even when we stumble or fall behind,
Yeah.
there's still a chance to catch up.
Right. It's not about leaving anyone behind.
It's about everyone reaching their full potential.
And that aligns with that idea of the kingdom of God.
Yes. Where everyone is welcomed and loved,
Right.
no matter what their past mistakes.
It's a beautiful vision. And even her final correction to her father.
Oh, yeah. About how to phrase things to their mom.
Right. It seems so small,
Right.
but it's actually so profound.
It is. It's about choosing words that build up rather than tear down.
Yeah.
Encouraging rather than discouraging.
It's like she's instinctively understanding the power of language.
Exactly.
Right.
And how even our words can be a reflection of God's love and grace.
And speaking of God's love and grace,
Yeah.
we can't forget about the connection
Right.
her dad made to the story of Jesus and Peter.
Oh, that's a powerful parallel.
It really is.
Yeah.
It highlights that transformative power of forgiveness
Right.
and second chances.
Think about it. Peter's denial of Jesus.
Yeah.
That was a significant betrayal.
Huge.
But Jesus chose to meet him with compassion.
It's incredible.
Will offer him a path back
Yeah.
to fellowship and purpose.
Just like this little girl is choosing to offer her brother grace.
Exactly. Instead of judgment and condemnation.
It's a reminder that we are all capable of making mistakes.
We are human.
We are.
And we all need that same grace and forgiveness.
Not just from God,
Right.
but from each other.
Absolutely. And I think this story challenges us
Yeah.
to really examine how we approach conflict in our own lives.
Because it's so easy to fall into that trap
It is.
of wanting to be right,
Yeah.
wanting to win.
To choose the most efficient solution.
Right, without considering the
Yeah.
impact on the relationship.
But true peace
Yeah.
often requires us to slow down,
Oh,
listen deeply,
right.
and choose love over power.
It's a tough challenge.
It is. But it's a challenge worth embracing.
Absolutely. Because in the end,
Yeah.
it's those moments of choosing love, forgiveness, and understanding
Right.
that truly reflect the heart of God.
And that's a message we all need to hear.
It is.
It really is amazing how such a simple story can be so powerful, right?
It is.
I mean, it gives us so much to think about in terms of conflict resolution and,
Yeah.
living a more Christ-like life.
Absolutely.
But I keep coming back to this question.
Okay.
How do we actually apply this little girl's wisdom,
Right.
like in our own lives?
That's the real challenge, isn't it?
It is. It's one thing to admire her approach.
Yeah.
But actually putting it into practice
Right.
in the real world, with all the complexities.
It's a whole other level.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So where do we even begin?
Well, I think it starts with cultivating a posture of humility.
Humility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because humility allows us to approach disagreements with an open mind.
Recognizing that we don't always have all the answers.
And it's so important,
It is.
especially in the Christian faith, right?
Absolutely.
Acknowledging that we are all flawed,
Yeah.
imperfect beings
We need God's grace.
in need of God's grace.
And that same grace should extend to how we treat others,
Right.
especially during conflict.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
So when we approach conflict with humility,
Yeah.
it becomes less about proving ourselves right
Right.
and more about understanding the other person's perspective.
Exactly. Their pain, their fears, their hopes.
Right. It's about really trying to see the world through their eyes.
And when we truly feel heard and understood, it creates a sense of safety and trust, which is essential for resolving conflict constructively.
It's like we're disarming those bombs
Right.
of anger and resentment before they explode.
Exactly.
So humility is key.
It is.
But what else can we do to become more effective peacemakers?
Well, active listening is crucial.
Active listening.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about just waiting for your turn to speak.
Right.
I'm talking about truly listening to understand, not to respond.
It's about really putting aside our own judgments
Yeah.
and trying to step into the other person's shoes.
And that can be really hard,
It can.
especially when we're feeling hurt or angry.
Right. But it's so important.
It is.
And what's interesting is this whole idea of active listening.
Yeah.
It ties back to that concept of grace.
Oh, how so?
Because when we truly listen to someone, we're showing them respect.
Yeah.
We're acknowledging their worth.
We're giving them space to be heard.
And that's a powerful gift.
It is.
So active listening, humility.
Yeah.
Those are great starting points.
They are.
But what about those moments?
Okay.
When we're really in the heat of the moment.
Right. When those bombs are about to go off.
Yeah.
That's where self-regulation comes in.
Self-regulation.
Yeah. Being aware of our own emotional state and choosing to respond in a way that is calm, thoughtful, respectful, even when we're feeling triggered.
That sounds incredibly challenging.
It can be.
Especially when we're feeling really hurt or angry.
But the more we practice self-regulation,
yeah,
the better we become at managing our emotions.
Okay.
And responding to conflict in a way that aligns with our values.
It's like a muscle.
Exactly. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
And isn't that what it means to follow Christ?
It is.
To choose love over anger.
Right.
Forgiveness over resentment.
Even when it's hard.
Even when it's hard.
Because we're not always going to get it right.
Of course not.
We're human.
Right. But we keep striving.
We do.
We keep practicing.
And we rely on God's grace to help us along the way.
Exactly. This whole conversation has been so inspiring.
It has.
And it's a good reminder that even the smallest interactions can teach us so much.
They care.
About life, about faith.
About relationships.
About relationships.
And sometimes the wisdom we seek
is closer than we think.
You know, sometimes it's coming from the mouths of babes.
It is.
Reminding us of those simple but profound truths that can really transform our lives.
It can.
So as we go about our day, let's try to remember this little girl's wisdom.
Let's do that.
Her insights into conflict resolution and her beautiful reflection of Christ's teachings.
Absolutely.
Let's approach conflict with humility, active listening.
Right.
Self-regulation.
Seeking peace and understanding in all our interactions.
And remember, even in the midst of disagreement and discord, there's always a possibility for reconciliation.
There is.
For growth, for love.
That's the beauty of it.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And until next time, keep seeking that deeper understanding.
And remember, there's always more to learn, more to grow, and more to love.